Good afternoon, and thank you, the organizers and chairman, for the opportunity to join you today. I do not have any financial interest. As our IOP is a target treatment for glaucoma, it's extremely important to be able to obtain accurate pressure reading. And as you can see here, that glaucoma is quite common in eye after cornea transplant, being the most common in PK and K-Pro because of the involvement of the anterior segment. In part one today, we will talk about how cornea morphology and surgery affect IOP reading. And part two, we will talk about pros, cons, and pearls for each tonometer. Oates teaches as well how cornea thickness affect IOP reading. Thin cornea, you get false low reading, and thick cornea, you get false high reading. So what if cornea has some pathology, and how about cornea after surgery? Still true for thin cornea. Thin cornea from keratoconus, thin cornea from LASIK or cross-linking still give us false low reading. Thick cornea, it depends. So thick cornea from cornea edema give us false low reading, and thick cornea from deseg did not give false high reading by Glaucoma tonometer. In addition, structural and biomechanical property of the cornea still can affect the IOP reading. For instance, cornea scar could also lead to false high reading. Showing here a different type of cornea transplant, we should look out for structural changes that might affect pressure reading, such as cornea edema that can occur in any of these transplant PK, DOG, deseg, and DMEG. Presence of suture and astigmatism and scar tissue is more commonly seen in PK and DOG. Interestingly, it's not only structural changes that can affect IOP reading, but also biomechanical changes and timing of surgery that can affect IOP reading. Tonometers. Most tonometers are applanation tonometers, therefore they in some way would be affected by cornea properties. The least affected by cornea property, that can be minimized by contour matching tonometry. Glaucoma tonometer is still our gold standard, but I would like to point it out that cornea thickness that used to calibrate the system is 520, which is lower than our normal average cornea of 550. Readings are lower than manometric reading, and readings are sensitive to all cornea changes. Therefore, it might not be the best suited tonometer for cornea diseases or after cornea procedure. How about deseg? Increased cornea thickness after deseg? We did a study back in 2007 comparing different type of tonometers readings in patients with deseg with no cornea edema. So we compare Glaucoma tonometer, pneumotonometer, dynamic contour tonometer, and we found that IOP from all these three readings are highly positively correlated, meaning that when one go up, other will go up as well. But they're not the same number, so they're not interchangeable. And after looking at all these relationships of the readings, we found that the reading, in fact, close matched to the normal or thin cornea. So the false highly IOP by Glaucoma did not observe in these eyes. So meaning that if you have patient with deseg, pressures high by Glaucoma reading, do not just blame the thick cornea. Next, we're going to move on to pneumotonometer. This is, in fact, the preferred tonometer in our cornea service at UIC. And in my opinion, the unique feature of this tonometer is that you can measure pressure on the sclera in a case that you can no longer measure pressure on the cornea, such as K-Pro eyes or the cornea with extensive scarring. So we did a study comparing how cornea and scleral pressure on a pneumo related. We found that, again, they are highly positively correlated, but scleral reading always or consistently give reading higher than cornea reading. And scleral reading is less accurate when the pressure is higher. That means if you have patient with K-Pro, extensive cornea scar, and you want to use the scleral pneumotonometer to read, you can check it. If the pressure reading is low, you palpate the eye and it feels reasonable, that can be reassuring. Tonopen. This is another popular device. It's a portable device. The good reproducibility of this device is between 10 to 20 millimeter mercury, and it is underestimate high pressure and overestimate low pressure. And it's still affected by cornea thickness, but less affected by cornea edema. So if you use this device, because the tip is quite small, you can try to avoid a disease area, but stay as close at the center as possible to decrease the influence of thick cornea in the periphery. Ocular response analyzer. This is a unique device because it can give you the measurement of cornea hysteresis, or the biomechanical property of the cornea, and also can give you corrected pressure measurement. However, it's not well understand. We don't really understand how biomechanical changes after cornea procedure affect the reading. So I think more research in this area would be really helpful. Dynamic control tonometer, this is again, this reading is close to manometric reading, is least affected by cornea property, but in theory, so if you have the device, I would encourage you to use it in case of the eyes with cornea pathology. Eye care tonometer becoming popular because the portable device is also requiring no anesthetic agent, well tolerated in children, and being used as a home tonometer. And similar to tonopen, so if you able, just try to really stay as close as the center. If able, you can avoid the diseased cornea. But one question arises that whether or not these is more influenced by the viscoelastic property of the cornea instead of the pressure reading. In summary, corneal property influence all tonometry techniques, and Glaucoma tonometry is the most affected, and dynamic control tonometry is the least affected. And we should always think about other options. These pneumotonometer, tonopen, eye care, they're less accurate when IOP outside normal range. And if you can, try to avoid the disease area, but stay as close to the center. And always, because they are not interchangeable, just try to monitor with the same tonometer. Thank you very much for your attention.